It's absolutely disgusting.
Sorry?
It's absolutely disgusting. It is violence and oppression towards those who have breasts.
I really don't know what you're on about.
It just leaps out and just causes just dreadful harm to people. It's expensive to resolve. Nobody likes it.
I'm sorry. What is this problem? What's happening?
You know when the underwine just goes and just stabs you in the tit.
Oh, that is oppression. Right?
Absolutely disgusting.
I agree. That is oppression of the highest order.
Mm-hmm. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
We're back.
We're here again. It's a podcast where two queer trans ladies who talk about the media we've consumed during the week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
How's
yeah.
wrong?
Yeah, I was a bit sleepy last week.
Because you got your jabby stabby.
Yeah, I got my
new science
I thought I
juice.
got my first science juicy stabby jabby with that futuristic tech. I got the Valneva vaccine and responded very well to it. I was, however, very sleepy when I got home. I don't know how much of that
I've
is
done like 8 hours of social.
Yeah, I didn't know how much of that was the vaccine and how much was I spent 8 hours in a hospital having to be sociable. Because when you do science trials, you don't just get to walk in and have your vaccine. It's like, okay, here's lots and lots of strangers you don't know and sounds. Deal with it for a while.
To be fair, I had a vast emotional struggling after, 20 minutes of talking to people when I went for mine?
We had the two extremes of difficult social situation because you had shorter burst of much more intense social. Lots of sounds, lots of strangers, lots of stuff very quickly. I had much quieter, much gentler, but much more prolonged.
Yeah.
I had many hours of okay, who am I social with? Oh, who do I have to spend 2 hours sat quietly in a room with?
While they try and steal your biscuits.
While they try and steal my biscuits. That woman really wanted to steal my biscuits.
She wanted your biscuits real bad.
Yeah, I had to share a quiet room with someone for 2 hours waiting to, actually get stabbed after they'd done all the tests, and there was a woman who, she was very hungry, and she was eyeing up my biscuit. And I was like, I don't want to socialise with you, and this is my biscuit. So what have you played this week?
This fortnight. Surprisingly not played a huge amount, really. We did another session of Scythe, Rise of Fenris.
Yes, we did. I got to play as a new
Venza.
faction. I got to play as the Venza faction.
Yeah.
Or Vesna. I like how that faction plays. So when you have the mech abilities that, when you put this mech out, you get this ability for your faction. I liked the whole, here is a bag of abilities, pull some things out of it and work out how many of them you want to place where on the board. Mm-hmm. That was
So
interesting.
you draw 6 and you place between 2 and 4 anywhere on your mech positions, so as soon as you build that particular mech, you get that power.
Yeah, and I quite enjoy Vesna's inbuilt ability of, you start with 3 factory cards from the centre, so you start off very powerful potentially, but every time you use a factory card, it is discarded rather than just, it doesn't stay there permanently, which gives, it's a very different, here is a lot to start with, but you're gonna be limited in the later game because of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an interesting game we had. There was
that's good.
a new mechanic introduced that I was like, no, this is antithetical to how we've been playing.
Kind of, yeah.
I have to deal with mechanics I haven't thought about in a while.
Yeah, we haven't had to deal with combat for a while. Luckily, it wasn't proper combat.
No, but
I feel like the next chapter is going to be proper combat again.
But I'm so out of practice at combat.
It's simple. You just put a card in and do the thing.
Yeah.
And then you have the thing. It's fine. It's so fine. Don't worry. We've done 4 chapters so far. There are 4 to go.
Yeah.
And everything's going to change in the next 4. We've still got a bunch of boxes to open, mystery boxes to open for the rest of the campaign.
That we do.
Yeah, who knows what will happen? I assume it will be something to do with
I mean,
Fenris Rising.
you've played through it once
I have
before.
played through it once already.
And I
but-
know because I know at least one thing that's coming up.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time you played through this. I believe next session we have the mysterious
box that
that
just
just
sits on the board.
So that's going to be fun to deal with.
Yep. What about you? Who plays anything else?
We played a game together. One of the things that came in the Zatu box that I don't think we will be looking for more of.
Oh.
So we
Boy,
played
howdy.
an escape room in a box called the Pendulum of the Dead.
Yeah.
So
50 clues.
yes, 50 clues, Pendulum of the Dead. So the idea of this is you have a deck of like 50 cards, and basically you have a phone app that you input codes on to solve problems, and it'll tell you to draw the next card out of the deck to get the next set of problems
So you've
to
got
go through a
various types
narrative.
of codes. You've got codes with black belt borders, which are just, you've got this, type it into the thing, it will tell you a thing.
Yeah,
Then you've got red numbers, which you will combine with the numbers on a different
Yeah.
card.
so you might be like, here's a fire and here's a fire extinguisher. I'll put both codes in, and maybe I'll put the fire out.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Mm.
So we'll get to the problems in a
Mechanically,
second.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Puzzles, really rather good.
Biggest problem I had with it mechanically is the arbitrary limiting of it to 30 uses, because it requires you to
Yes.
put in a serial code on the inside of the box that can only be used 30 times, which, honestly, for a play and pass, in practice that's probably not going to make much difference, because most play and pass games will not make it through 30 people before they either get worn out or stop circulating because people ran out of people to give it to. But just on principle, it sucks.
Mm.
But like the puzzles were well balanced. There was a good variety of them. Very creative solutions to some of them.
There
Good.
weren't too many in this where we were like, I don't understand the concept
Yeah.
of this puzzle.
And the hint system was like multiple tiers of hints, so you could get like a little bit of a hint
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing now." Should we talk about the inherent problem with this one?
Okay, so the game starts off with the plot point that your character is in a mental health facility.
Yeah.
That there was some involvement with a suitcase with a dead child in it,
Yeah.
and that the King Leopold II didn't die, is this sort of weird spirit and is doing evil things
And you need to break out of the facility and
to
go
stop the bad things
stop
happening.
the bad thing happening. So we're going to talk some spoilers here. We do not recommend anyone play this game.
Don't.
So,
Don't give these people money.
yeah, we're going to talk spoilers. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear them, but fuck it, you probably want to hear this. Yeah, so the whole point of this trilogy of games, of which we played the first, is that no, there's not an evil ghost that's destroying the world. You're just mentally ill. You're a mentally ill person who was broken out of a mental health facility and
Isn't taking the medication.
yeah. So a lot of things that you do that are justified as yes, but it is necessary to save the world, like kidnapping a child and murdering their caregiver in front of them, and a lot of
we like within the first few puzzles of this game, we had knocked out an orderly at the hospital
chopped his
and
finger
chopped his
off.
thumb off to use on a security
Yeah,
guard.
a lot of things that I get what they were going for here, but no, it does. The plot of this just comes across as, nope, they were mentally ill and that made them dangerous. Keep them locked up. They're all dangerous, the mentally ill ones.
Yeah, this is a trilogy, so they want you to spend at retail price. I think these are £15 each, so they want you to
Yeah.
spend £45 to find out in the end that no, it wasn't. It wasn't really an evil ghost.
You've been complicit in murder and kidnapping and all these horrible things for no reason. You were mentally ill.
And according to spoilery reviews I looked up online, like, this involves murdering children.
Yeah.
This involves
Well, there was a hint in the narrative in this first episode that, like,
the child that was in the suitcase had been murdered by you.
Yes, there was an implication that you were gonna have to kill 13 children. And yeah, we do not recommend this.
Don't.
Like, it was a mechanically good. It was a
And
mechanically.
consequently, don't buy anything
game,
else
but-
from that publisher, because fuck them.
Yeah. So be very fucking cautious of this and its sequels. That was a shame of a thing we played.
Yeah, I can see why they had to chuck it in the new release box, because fuck trying to sell it, especially if anyone knows anything about the plot. Do not recommend. That's 50 clues. The
Pendulum of the Dead is the first one, yeah. What about you? What else have you played this week?
not this week, but last week I played Call of the Sea.
Tell me about Call of the Sea.
So
What can you say about Call of the Sea?
it's a puzzle game. Like, so basically, when I started editing accessibility, a lot of the stuff was around the launch of the Xbox Series X and S.
Yes.
And obviously, in that launch footage, there was some beautiful scenery of this Call of the Sea game.
It's basically the only, like, colourful cel-shaded art style thing they advertised around the launch of that console.
And screenshots, especially from the opening areas, are absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Like, there's beautiful sunny days, these beautiful waterfalls.
Yes.
Just incredibly high saturation on a lot of the areas. It is stunning to look at. But the story is about this woman who's got this skin condition that's apparently making her really ill, and her husband goes off around some islands. I can't remember which island chain it is. Trying to find a cure for her, believing that, some tribe somewhere, and this is set in the 1920s, I think it is.
Yes, the height of colonialism and
It's very much still, hey, the Empire, woo.
the world belongs to Britain.
Yeah, and it's this white woman is having problems, so her husband's dragged a bunch of people round and invaded little islands and caused problems with what is clearly historical issues, involved themselves in local inhabitants and such. And now there's this story about, it turns out that spoilers for the end of the game, aliens crashed on Earth, and they were using this stuff to turn. They had their own slaves already, but they were also turning human slaves, the islanders, into mer people to make them live forever, so they would have slaves forever to help them do this thing. And at some point, they seemingly left. And the husband has got all tied up in this, and apparently got infected by the black oil, and all of the people that he was with, all of the people he dragged on this mission, had died as a result of interacting with this thing. And the puzzles are alright, but oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's at its core, this is a 3D explore the island, solve basic puzzles.
Yeah, so as you click on things, you will get a filled out little journal.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, hey, I can make connections, and that basically works as a kind of hint system. But if you didn't click on something and solve the puzzle and moved on, and you later need to refer to it, you don't have that information because you didn't click on it.
Aha.
Luckily, you don't have to go too far for most of the things, and for a lot of areas you can just go back. But there's lots of bits that felt a bit this is stuff that could be easily missed. Some puzzles are just really, really convoluted. Towards the end, there's a whole thing where you've got to make astrological symbols.
Constellations.
Constellations appear on this thing on the floor as you progressively unlock more and more shapes that you can click on. It's no, thank you. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, there were a few times when I was just fuck this puzzle. There's also a lot of backtracking,
Yeah.
and it suffers very much with 3D puzzle game problems,
Hmm.
where it's like, okay, you've because you wanted to make this 3D, I can look in any direction, I can walk for fucking miles. How do I know what's important? If I don't get close enough to it, the eye icon that sort of signifies that something can be clicked on doesn't show up at all. And if something doesn't show up at all, then it was a white thing I needed to click on, and the eye icon is white, so I couldn't actually see the icon when I was hovering over the thing. I'm glad I didn't pay for it. It was on Game Pass, so there was that. But at the same time, no, thank you. No. What about you? You played anything else?
We played a couple of other board gamey game type things. We played Monopoly Bid.
Ugh.
The main benefit this has over Monopoly is it's a hell of a lot shorter.
Yes, you can play it in about 5 minutes.
It is heavily luck based.
Entirely luck based.
Yeah, basically, it's there's a little element of strategy in terms of fake out making someone spend more than they need to. It's basically draw a handful of cards. You will have
Between 1 and 5.
Yeah, you'll have
Monies.
currency, draw more cards, steal a person's property,
And block someone doing it.
Yeah, someone doing an action. But it's basically we'll turn over a location from the board. You bid back and forth. Whoever bids the most gets that property. Complete 3 sets of properties, you win. And yeah,
They're not even named properties because it's an
Yeah.
international product, so it's just like, this is the blue thing. It wants me to. It says it's a set of 3. So if I can find 3 things in that colour, or I can find that one and 2 of any colour,
wild ones.
2 wild ones.
Yeah.
And once you've got a set, you can't block or take that away.
Yeah. There is a small element of, can I make someone think I'm bidding a large amount for the thing they want, so they'll bid a larger amount, but actually I bid a very small amount and now they've wasted some money? There's a little bit of that, but ultimately, whoever has better luck with getting the +2 cards, because those just increase card economy, which is there's a reason that Pot of Greed got banned out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because +2 to card economy is always good. It's never not good. But it's just who gets the more +2s and has the higher money values in their hand is probably going to win, because it's such a short game that there's not really time for you to come back from, well, I didn't have enough money to outbid you at all.
Yeah, we played 3 games, was it?
Yeah.
So on the first game, it was just okay, well, that was over quickly. We've got the hang of how the rules work. Let's give it another go. So we played the second game, and it was okay, that was over a bit quickly, but felt that was a bit luck-based. On the third game, you got 7 +2 cards
Yeah.
throughout the entire. I got
Yeah.
none. Most of the amounts of money I was getting were singles, just ones.
Yeah.
You had 3s, 4s, and 5s at least.
Yeah. If you get lots of draw extra cards, just by law of numbers, you're going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to outspend other players.
Yeah.
And you're going to have more nopes on hand with which to stop people stopping you. If you draw a lot of +2s, you're going to win.
Yeah.
It's
It's like Monopoly. It's not a fun game, but it is mercifully over quickly.
It wasn't here's the thing. If I sat down and played a game of this with someone, I wouldn't be like, well, that was a waste. That was terrible. I'd be like, that was fine. It was nothing, really.
It's terrible.
It's just nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's barely even a game.
So
I'm sure kids will love it.
What about you? What did you play this week?
We played Takenoko.
Yes, we did. This was a much better board game we played.
This was a much better board game.
It's about pandas eating bamboo.
It's about pandas eating bamboo and a gardener trying to grow bamboo.
Yeah.
So basically, you have 2 actions on your turn.
Yep.
You roll a dice to see what random thing is going to happen on your turn,
Basically,
and that might be...
what's the weather and how will that impact play?
Yeah, so that might be like an extra action, or you get to do the same action twice, or somebody moves in some direction, or is frightened in some direction. You've basically got... you can score points by arrangements of how the garden is laid out, what your panda has eaten, and, like, are there certain amounts of bamboo in certain colours that have grown. You have a gardener who moves around, and where they move to in consecutive hexes of the same colour, they will grow more bamboo. And you have a panda that just wants to eat bamboo. So it will move into a place, and as long as it's not fenced off, they will eat that bamboo. And you have the sort of final action that I probably should have mentioned earlier is you can draw 3 tiles off of the garden stack, pick one to put down somewhere, attach it to the pond, or make sure that it's irrigated, and it will grow bamboo. And you put the other 2 on the bottom in any order.
Yeah.
So you're sort of extending the board out, making sure things are watered, and trying to just fulfill whatever your objective cards are.
Yeah. So the thing I like about this game is that it is so simple in terms of turn order. There is very little you have to remember, but there is enough complexity to the board that you have a lot of options of how to enact those basic things. So it's roll the dice, what's the weather, what bonus does that give me? I think one nice thing is that basically all of the bonuses offered are positive things. I would say the have a double turn is the most powerful one, but, like, none of them are, like, bad options. They're all just like, okay, I can work with this.
You got, like, three or 4 of those double turns, so by the end of the game you were, like, 3 turns ahead of me.
Yeah.
At least 2 turns ahead of me. And still, that wasn't really a problem.
Yeah.
I think I won in the end, didn't I?
I believe so, yeah. It's a slow enough paced game that, even with those bonus actions, it's not like you're going to race ahead too badly. But then you've got your little board that's just like, what do I want to do on the board? And do I want to take some more, do I want to use my turn to get some more quests to try and accomplish? And all of them are very visually laid out, so it's very clear to understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So you've got 3 types of objectives. You've got panda objectives, which is usually about what you can eat. You've got gardener objectives, usually about how tall can you grow your bamboo in certain colours and in certain specific areas or with certain conditions.
Well, not even how tall can you grow your bamboo. How tall can a piece of bamboo end up being grown? Because if someone else makes a tall stack of bamboo somewhere and you have an objective card that says have a stack of this high, you can redeem it, which is nice.
And the other ones are like about layout specifically. Yeah. So it might be have 3 green bits of garden laid out in this sort of shape,
all irrigated,
or all with something
with
in
a
them.
Water source or something.
Or all with an upgrade, or with no upgrades, and it's just like, okay, yep, I know exactly how to do that. I've matched that. I get this number of points. Yeah. Usually, obviously, higher points for like more specific,
complicated,
more complicated, or like of land types that there are just less of in the deck.
Yeah. It's a really simple but pleasant game. It's got a very nice laid-back feel to it. It's not complicated to teach.
The components are nice. The box is very tidy.
Oh yeah, like this is just a very charming game. I'm very excited to play this with our board gaming friends at some point. I think they'd enjoy it. We're getting there. Yeah, we got a countdown now. We know roughly when we're both gonna be good.
Look at us both half jabbed.
Exactly. Oh. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, it is. What about you? Played anything else?
I played Biomutant.
Boo. Boo also is.
So, first of all, let's just get out of the way. THQ Nordic, they're the publisher for this game. They're terrible.
And also
they were going to do an AMA on 8chan of all places. Ugh.
Like literally this evening, THQ
yes.
decided to post a bunch of quotes of people saying
Yes.
they didn't like the game.
Oh no, it's more than that. They tweeted out 2 different reviews by 2 different people, one of whom liked the world design and one of whom did not like the world design, with a sort of confused what the fuck?
You have to
meme.
make your own decision about our crappy game.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to imply like reviewers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They can't decide if it's good or bad. I'm like, that's 2 different people. It's not contradictory for 2 people to have different opinions.
Yeah, it's not like one person literally says it's a great world, but the combat's bad, and the other one's like, I really like the combat in this game.
Yeah, also, fun fact, if you look up both those reviews, both of those are overwhelmingly negative reviews. So when they're like, the critics can't make up their minds. No, the critics can make up their mind that the game's bad. They're just, debating why it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't seen this, it is a sort of open-ish world action-adventure 3D game where you play as a little marsupially anthropomorphic animal person, plays a little rat cat person with biomutation powers. So plot,
what if Spore happened?
Yeah, so plot-wise, this is 100% zero subtlety. Humans fucked up the planet with pollution. Now there's animal people. Humanity fucked off to space. Go fight some animals for reasons. Go save the world tree or whatever. The plot's kind of nothing.
The plot's crap.
Yeah. So I'll get to the really crap stuff in a minute. We'll start with the combat.
Seems alright.
The combat was it was fine.
Yeah.
A few hours in, it maybe even gets good, but like it takes. Here's the thing: you've got to play like 5-6 hours of this before I would even call the combat good, and even then, it never reaches great. It's never really good combat. It's like, okay, at its peak, it's a bit floaty, but it feels pretty alright. The melee combat feels more fun than the gunplay, but the problem is that this game has a really wild difficulty curve, which means that often you will run into creatures where it's like, if this thing punches me twice, I'm dead. I'd better just do the thing that's not fun but is safe, which is stand at a distance, shooting it very slowly with my infinite ammo gun, running around in circles. This isn't fun, but it's how I'll win.
Yeah, like for the bosses, that seemed to be the only real way to effectively do that.
I mean, yeah, a lot of them have attacks that have like 3/4 of a circle of effective range of where they're going to hit, that hit very quickly and are too large for you to back away from. Like, there's several where it's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to not get hit by this, and not in a fun Dark Souls-y way.
Yeah.
The game looks pretty enough.
Oh, yeah. But it looked pretty when we saw it at PC Gamer Weekend in 2017.
And it still looks pretty. I like the running animation on all fours for the protagonist.
Yeah.
But let's get to the bad stuff. Namely, the fucking narrator and the narrative. So this game has a narrator. Think knockoff version of the Stanley Parable narrator in terms of voice.
It sounds like Keith Riding, yeah.
It's not the same person, but it's a knockoff sound alike.
Is it Richard Riding?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's not the same person. But this narrator loves to sound like they're saying intellectual, smart, interesting things about your journey, but without. They use a lot of words to say fucking nothing. Like, right at the start of the game, you walk up to a physical crossroads, and it's like, oh, a crossroads. This is like life, isn't it? You either pick a direction or you die. And then you pick a direction and maybe you go left, and they're like, oh, how interesting, you went left. Sometimes left is right. I'm like, within that first interaction, I was like, oh no, you're going to tell me nothing of any interest. You're just going to talk at me. And very much so, he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and thinks he's much more clever than he is.
Oh, apparently there's a way to turn it off.
Oh, you can turn it off on the overworld, his random quips, but you can't turn off any of the times that are scripted moments where it stops the character moving for him to talk at you.
Oh,
and you can't turn him off in conversations, which is what I'm about to get to.
Yeah, because that conversation with the king just
Ye-
seemed... Oh, I was getting annoyed just watching it.
It's such a good example of what this game is terrible at. So, when you have conversations with NPCs, what will happen is, with no text on screen, you'll watch the animal NPC talk in gibberish, go...
Yeah, they'll do a Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, and then they'll stop, and then on-screen text will appear if you've got subtitles on, and the narrator will very slowly and long-windedly, I was going to say paraphrase, but paraphrase suggests he's making it shorter and more concise. He recounts, usually in the third person, but not always, what the person just said, which really slows down the pacing of the narrative. Even at its best, it makes narrative moments feel like a chore. It makes them drag, it makes them painful to go through. But it's worse when the narrative has a real habit of repeating itself and saying the same thing in the same wording multiple times in a conversation. And there's, like, about an hour and a half into this game is the conversation that broke me. And it's that one with the king, where basically 4 times in the same conversation, you will have the narrator go, the king wants unity because he thinks that's for the greater good. Yeah, what was it? Unity for the greater good. He has a code of honor. That's it. He wants unity for the greater good because of his code of honor. He says this the same way 4 times in the same conversation, and by the 4th time he's saying it, where it's like, the king wants unity for the greater good. I'm just like, no, stop it. My brain's hurting.
Yeah, so, like, don't get me wrong, he's got a lovely voice. I would love to hear him read bedtime stories, or, like, fucking whatever the BBC, like, bedtime story is. But, like, this is bad.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing. If you cut out the repetition, if you could deal with that, I don't even hate him. The thing is, like, I would... If you got rid of the gibberish or just had him talk over the gibberish, I wouldn't mind it so much because that would fix a lot of the pacing. It's the having to listen to the gibberish and then it stops and then he talks completely kills the pacing. Also, I cannot stand how frequently the way he's written in the script. So this is in a post-apocalypse. They know very well the full details of the post-apocalypse. They can talk about human pollution and machinery and nuclear toxic waste fallout. All of that's fine. But then your character will see a guitar and the narrator will be like, a twing-twang that makes the plinky-plonkies. Oh, an elevator? No, that's a upsy-downy box. Oh, that's a satellite. Don't you mean a ping circle? It's like, it sounds like trying to make, like, it's shoehorning in toddlerisms for no reason, and it feels very out of place.
Yeah, because you either have to, like, do that for everything or not.
Yeah, it's...
They apparently needed to understand, biological waste and radiation and shit.
Also, the game has a fascination with hacking puzzles, even when it makes no sense. Tuning the guitar is a hacking puzzle.
I mean,
somebody
with no ear for tuning.
The same mechanics are used for hacking a computer and tuning a guitar are the same minigame. Also, this game... Clearly, they've put a lot of thought into world building and trying to create a huge world, and they make the mistake that so many Dungeons and Dragons players make, where they want to throw in references to their 50-page backstory all in session 1, and they're dropping names of things that you have no clue what that is, and you're gonna forget it by the time it comes up again. They just love to be like, oh, there's a word you don't know, there's a word you don't know, there's a word you don't know. Isn't our world so big and mysterious? I'm like, no, I just I'm barely started the game, I want to understand what your world is.
Also, like, there was the whole thing where you'd been playing it for, 4 hours at this point? And it was like, we're going to have a flashback to you as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to learn how to fight.
Oh, yeah, The plot doesn't know how to progress. I've been playing for, multiple hours, and it's like, we're going to have a 45-minute long flashback that basically boils down to,
Your parents died.
you dug some trash out of a trash pile. Good, you know how to craft. You dug some clothes out of a clothing pile. You can craft clothes. Mum taught you how to fight. Now she's dead. Anyway, keep going. The plot, every time it feels like, oh, it's finally opened up, I'm gonna get to play for a bit. No more than 20 minutes, and the plot just fucking grinds to a glacial halt again. Also, we need to talk about the fact that this game, whenever it has a disabled character, it entirely boils their personality down to has a disability.
And also their name is usually something to do with their disability.
Yeah, I was about to get to that. The first NPC you meet is a wheelchair-using character who is initially referred to as the Wheeled One, rather than having a name. That's not his name. It turns out, back before he was a wheelchair user, his name was Best Before. But now he's in a wheelchair. It's out of date. Yeah, that's fucking tacky. That's not good.
Yep.
Yeah, if a character has a physical difference or disability, it's gonna be their nickname. You're the One-Eyed Ronin, because you got one eye. That's the Wheeled One, because they're in a wheelchair.
Probably don't bother.
Yeah, don't play Biomutant. It has ambitious ideas, and I can see the kernels of an interesting game in here, but
I could see the kernels of an interesting game in here 4 years ago when we played a demo.
The problem is that, like, it doesn't get a lot of things wrong, but the things it gets wrong are things that you really can't afford to get wrong.
No, thank you.
What about you? Have you played anything else this week?
I played through Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, you did. Tell me about how that went.
It's good.
Yeah.
I want to play through it again. I'm slightly more OP this time.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to play more of the Mercenaries mode, because it was nice to see Mercenary mode back in. I very much enjoyed that in 3. I haven't played 5 and 6, so I don't know if it reappeared there ever, but yeah, it reminds me very much of 4 all the way through. Like, I really enjoyed it. I liked the puzzling, I liked the exploration, I liked the character designs, I liked the enemies, I liked that. It felt that sort of typically cheesy Resident Evil of yesteryear. It didn't seem to be taking itself too seriously. There was one bit that made me go, oh, is this just what we are now? Also, this one character has an ability that Ethan doesn't. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. There is a brief section where you play as another character.
Yes.
And I was like, I could have used this, like, throughout the whole fucking game, because this game is dark. It's really dark. And if there is a light source in your room, you are going to struggle to see this fucking game.
There is an ability that makes that less of a problem that would be nice if you could play it on New Game Plus with that ability the whole way through, maybe.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. Resident Evil 8 captures everything that I loved about Resident Evil 4 without feeling like it's just retelling that same game. It's its own thing that fits tonally with 4.
It's not the Star Wars Episode 7 of Resident Evil.
Yeah, it is like, this is definitely a different game.
Yeah.
But it captures the energy and the humour and the weirdness and the types of horror and types of monster stuff that I like about 4.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the puzzliness. I am curious to see, like, where they go from here.
You know what 8 feels like? It feels like the kind of game that you get sometimes when the people who made a popular game break off from the studio to go and make their own spiritual successor.
It is the, what is it? Oh...
Bloodstained?
Bloodstained, which was right.
It's that Bloodstained feel. It's like, this is definitely a different game, but also you can sure as hell tell it was made by the people that, like...
Yeah.
that know how to make this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Resident Evil 8's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see what happens with, because I'm guessing there will be expansions and shit for this, because there was for 7. And they did some really interesting stuff with that, like the escape room stuff.
Yeah. I'm curious if that post-credit scene will be what the DLC is, maybe.
Either DLC or Resi 9, maybe?
Yeah, like, I think definitely that's gonna be Resi 9, but I wonder if we'll get a taste of it as DLC to...
tasty.
Like, I'm hoping that as DLC we'll get a sense of, like, ooh, what can they do that might be unique? Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
It's good.
More of these.
More of these. Oh no. We all good? We're all good.
What have you played?
I think that's everything I've played this week. Because I watched a video game related thing, but I'll put that in and watched.
Okay. I also played The Wild at Heart.
Oh.
It looks very much like something Double Fine, like Costume Quest, but maybe a little bit more painterly. It is. So it starts out as a story about a kid running away from home with their friend. They're going to meet their friend in the forest. And there's clearly a lot of alcohol cans at home, and they keep having dreams about their dad just sat on the couch in front of the TV surrounded by alcohol. And I was like, I'm going to struggle with this game, aren't I? Luckily there hasn't been too much of that. And then there was... So basically you wake up you'll find yourself wandering through the forest. Eventually you meet this sort of sprout creature who introduces you to a man called Greycoat, who has kind of a greenish coat. Apparently he lost the old coat, but they still call him Greycoat. He doesn't know what his name was before that. He's pretty sure that Greycoat's always been his name. He is a member of a faction called the Green Shields, who live in the forest. They are weirdos who live in the woods. There's one who is clearly like a cat lady. There's one who wears a plague doctor outfit, and they make potions. There's somebody called, I think it's Scrap Heap, who seems to just collect large weird objects you find around and helps you build upgrades to your equipment, because your main character has a Hoover. You eventually find another character called Kirby, and she gets a lamp that does magical stuff. And basically it's what if there was a proper RPG progression system, you can slowly increase certain things about yourself. You can there's some crafting aspects in there from scrap you find around the woods. There's also these Pikmin.
Yes, I've seen the Pikmin.
So it's and progressively you can get more and more control of Pikmin, like 5 at a time, more. Start with I think 15. I'm up to 35 now, I think. And starting to find new factions of Pikmin. I've now got the fire ones.
Ooh.
They're not very good with poison, but they will set brambles on fire. So there's that. It's interesting. I'm kind of enjoying it so far. It's a little bit simplistic. I've had a couple of glitches, but nothing too major.
Yeah.
Seems alright. It's very pretty, certainly. What else have I played? Oh, I played Astroneer. Started playing Astroneer.
Tell me about Astroneer.
What if you were land on a planet? You're a space person, and you've got to deal with where are your oxygen coming and where your power coming from, and how will you make things. So there's some sort of Minecrafty voxel stuff in there, how will I suck up enough soil or plant matter or aluminium to make certain materials, and then there's okay, go over here and do smelting. But a lot of the progression is based around where you can bring your oxygen to. So you have these things called tethers, and you're basically plonking down tethers as you move along. You craft them by gathering resources. and you can just drop them down, and eventually you sort of make this spider web out from your base. Of, like, here are the places I've explored.
That's pretty neat.
I'm really enjoying it so far. The controls are a little bit finicky. I might try playing with a keyboard and mouse, because so far I've only played it with controller, and it's like, oh god, I'm constantly pressing the wrong thing, and it's...
Oops.
Things are never quite where I want them to be.
Oh no.
But yeah, it seems really fun, and I'm curious to like explore more of this stuff. Yeah, that's another one that's on both, and The Wild at Heart is also a Game Pass one. So if you've got it, give them a look.
Nice. Is that everything you've played?
That's everything I've played.
Well, I'm gonna put my other gaming thing in watch. So, time for this.
This summer, get on down to Tan Match Foundation Warehouse. Do you find yourself becoming fully vaccinated during the summer?
Uh-huh.
Want to take off your mask in sensible situations around other fully vaccinated people?
Yeah.
Oops, you've got a serious case of tan mask.
Uh-oh, what am I gonna do? I look like Batman.
Reverse Batman. With our line of foundations, you can apply just enough foundation to not look like you wore out a mask for the last few months of nice weather.
Yay!
So, it is my great pleasure to introduce the latest invention from Silicon Valley. We have considered for many years how best to bring our thoughts out into the world. How do we present our thoughts? And, we have PowerPoint presentations, but we wanted to take it further into the future, something more. And we looked at the various types of the future is now materials. And we looked at carbon fiber, and we looked at diamond, and we looked at other forms of carbon, and that brought us to graphite. And so we present you our new revolutionary tool to bring your thoughts to life, to bring things to paper. We're still looking for a name, but this is our new device. It is a rod with a graphite shaft inside, and you use that to mark your thoughts on a paper. And we have revolutionized the whole game here.
You've invented a pencil.
Shit.
So, what have you put in your eye?
Well, one of the things I put in my eyes is I watched a half-hour-long press presentation for presentation for the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes. Yeah, it's the next game from Supermassive, the Until Dawn, Man of Medan, Little Hope people that do interactive, make your choices horror fiction games. So, House of Ashes is set in 2003 Iraq during the Iraq War, and the short version of the plot is that 4 US soldiers who were looking for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and
Spoilers, there weren't any.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big underground hole of some kind, there's some kind of big gap underground, and they're like, that's where the WMDs are. Earthquake, they and an Iraqi soldier fall down under the ground. Oops, no WMDs down there. Just a Mesopotamian temple of some kind.
I mean, it is the oldest civilization on Earth, isn't it?
Indeed. There's monsters down there, gotta escape. In terms of references, apparently the inspirations for this one are things like Alien, Predator, The Descent. There's also a H.P. Lovecraft Mountains of Madness apparently cited. So mechanically, this very much looks like other games in this series. There's a couple of interesting little changes from a accessibility standpoint. Namely, there's now difficulty modes. So rather than just turning timers off entirely, for example, you can have easy mode timers or hard mode timers, or turn them off entirely. So that's good.
So we've had that confirmed. We've had the turn them off entirely.
My understanding is yes.
Cool. Cool.
Yes. I didn't know that previously, but that seems to be the case.
You can tell I've edited this week's
Yeah.
accessibility.
You got a manual torch you can point around, which will help you spot things in the dark a little bit. But from an accessibility standpoint, it's no longer fixed camera angles. You now have full 3D camera control, which honestly,
no.
for many players is going to be a positive, but if you're someone who found these games playable because you didn't have to manipulate a camera, that's something you're going to have to bear in mind. The main thing I want to say about this, I touched on this a little bit on accessibility this week, is that I worry about potential tokenism of the one Iraqi soldier in the 5-player playable cast.
I mean, he seems barely visible from what you said in the
Yeah.
thing you saw.
In this 30-minute long presentation, we got, like, here's an actual gameplay scene between 2 of the US soldiers. Here's explanations of the plots and backstories for all 4 of the US soldiers. For Salim, I believe his name is, the Iraqi soldier, all you get is, here's Salim being scared by a monster. Ah. And then it cuts away. And there's a lot of talk in this presentation of like, oh, will you be able to overcome your own prejudices to survive? And I feel like this is like, it's been placed out really obviously that it's going to be like, if you trust Salim, you will survive, but will you do it though? He's different and maybe bad because he's from Iraq. Oh.
Maybe he has every reason to hate you because you're American soldiers and bombed his country to shit.
Yeah.
And destabilized the government.
I feel like the game is going to want to make a multiple hours long narrative arc out of, oh yeah, but will you trust him? You've got to really build up to that. And it's like, this is a choice-based narrative. Will you give me the option to just be like, nope, I trust you, we'll stick together, get through this together? I somehow doubt that's going to be an option. I worry that they're going to use the time and setting to be an excuse to be like, the horrors of spending time with an Iraqi soldier. Oh,
I feel like you'll be fighting the characters on that one.
yeah. I feel like I'm concerned that we're going to have to watch a lot of we don't have any control over it, racism happen to get through that. And you know, I've not played the full game. You know, I'm willing to be proven wrong on this.
Hoping,
but
in fact,
I am hoping to be proven wrong on this. But the very minimal amount of like for the US soldiers, I can tell you like so before they're in this, they're back in the US and they have like a big briefing room together, and this one's from the CIA and this one's from the Air Force, and when these 2 first fall underground, one of their teammates is trapped in barbed wire. I can tell you all these things about the US soldiers. I can't tell you a fucking thing about Salim. And that does not give me confidence.
No.
So like, I'm gonna check it out because I've liked the last 2 Dark Pictures games. I've enjoyed them, but like, I'm bracing for this one.
Yeah.
Like,
I have concerns, TM.
I have. There's a lot of ways this could be done wrong, and I hope they manage to avoid them, but there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. I'm going to be very curious to read critiques and breakdowns of this game from people who are not me when it comes out, because there are perspectives on this game that I'm going to be very interested to hear and to share with other people.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you watched this week?
I have watched a lot of Brandon... I forgot his name. I had it. Brandon James Greer. He does pixel art tutorials.
They're
Makes
really
pictures
good.
out of tiny squares.
They're adorable.
They are adorable. We watched we watched a bunch of them on Sunday while I was sewing things for you.
He does little time lapse videos of and talking about like, hey, here's how the design choices that went into this bit of art I did.
Here's how I made this look very colourful despite having a very limited colour palette.
Yeah, here's how I picked the colours that went together. Here's how I did worked within limitations of certain systems. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I have been very much enjoying that. It's very relaxing.
Very pleasant binge watch.
It's got a very, very calming voice, and it's something you can just sort of like, I'm just going to put a bunch of these on while I get on with something else.
Yeah.
And occasionally look up and go, oh, very pretty art. And most of the pixel art videos end with just some CRT time.
Yeah.
He's got an old CRT TV. He pops the like pieces of art up on the screen, and then we'll do like really like close up videos so you get all the little pixeling and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. Very soothing.
Do you want to go through the rest of the things you've watched? Because I've watched one other thing, and
One
you've
other
got
thing?
several. So if you want to go through yours, I'll hop in with my other one at the end.
Oh, heckins. Watched a bunch of the Retro Future videos. This is a guy called Elliot. He repairs and upgrades old Game Boys.
Very soothing, pleasant demeanour as he fixes old tech and
Isn't
finds
he alright?
finds obscure bits of tech you might not have seen, and he takes them apart and shows you what's in them. And
Like, do you want to see how I fixed this very limited edition Game Boy Light? Replaced it, took the screen out, replaced it.
he knows
Put
what he's
something in.
doing, but he's also just he's just pleasant to watch.
And sometimes just does really silly things like the super long Game Boy,
Yes.
which is, it's like 2 foot long.
But like he's had interesting bits of tech that I didn't know existed on his channel
Yeah, in
before. Like
particular.
the one that I think about is the Game Boy test cartridge he's got.
Yeah.
The official Nintendo Help Center one that's designed to be like, press a button, this will show up on screen, therefore you know that button's working.
Mm-hmm. He's got the Game Boy dev kit.
Yeah.
Wait, was it? It might be Game Boy Advance dev kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like this big blue thing.
Yes,
Um,
he's got a couple of dev kits for
Yeah.
things that he's taken apart over the years.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
cool stuff.
I think
the
one of
display switch we watched recently.
yeah.
Like, it's got a motherboard in it and some weights, but that's it. It's just designed like a fake phone in a shop. Why put the motherboard in it? I don't know.
For weight purposes, I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, there's some fascinating stuff on that channel.
Yeah.
I watched a 40-minute odd documentary on the Captain Disillusion channel about the movie Flight of the Navigator.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen this film?
I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've ever seen
I
it.
don't know if it's actually Disney. It's Disney-ish.
Disney. Okay.
It's about a kid who goes to visit NASA, and they have like an alien spaceship there. And he gets onto the ship and goes on an adventure through time. And has to deal with the fact that he's then put in a facility because he's been near the alien. And they want to know what happened. And eventually he has to break out and get back home. I'm not spoiling this plot for you. It came out like when I was 7. So. Yeah, and sort of like how the VFX were done on that. Considering, like, CG wasn't much of a thing at the time.
Yeah.
Like, it was barely a thing, and a lot of it is just, like, we built practical models, or we literally animated frame by frame
Yeah.
over a thing. Or, like, some of the map paintings in that film are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I didn't know I cared enough about Flight of the Navigator to watch a 40-minute documentary, but by the time it was over, I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by map paintings as a thing. Star Wars is always the one that I
Yeah.
go back to, and it's like once you know how many of those scenes are map paintings, it's like, oh, I can see it, but you sold the effect well.
You did an amazing job. You
Yeah.
incredible artists.
I can only tell because now I know to look for it. No one's moving.
Yeah. That and the cardboard cutouts in a few places, that sort
Yeah.
of thing, especially for Star Wars. But like, yeah, like stunning work on all of that, and the stop motion animation for the stairs. So basically, the ship is like this weird, almost like a silver pod thing. And at one point, the door in it opens and these stairs appear, and it almost looks like part of the pod liquefies and drips down, and then the drips form into these steps. And that was done as a miniature. Like, they filmed just the steps separately, and then they matted it into the film. It's like, that's ridiculous. And he gets hold of the props that they did the stairs and recreates the stair do. It's just like, that's incredible. How do they still have these props kicking about? That's amazing. Yeah. Just a weird little film that I remember watching as a kid.
Yeah.
I think I went to the cinema to see that film.
Oh wow.
Haven't watched anything else. I watched the new That Time on Murder, She Wrote by Pushing Up Roses.
Always enjoy those.
Always enjoyable. This is a particularly wild episode. Roses does a really good job breaking it down, but yeah, it's It's got Sarah Connor and Breaking Bad dad, whose name is.
Yes.
Yes, that guy.
Malcolm in the Middle dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite a wild episode, and apparently, like, very much bucks the Murder She Wrote style. So yeah, that's also. I always like Rose's videos.
Yeah.
And also Rose's art channel, because there's some really beautiful. She's got really heavily into like the acrylic pouring art.
Oh yeah.
And there's some really beautiful abstracts and stuff on there. And the last thing I watched, so this popped up in my feed. Bucketheads episode 1.
Right.
It's a 12-minute fan-made film of Star Wars
Yeah.
from the point of view of stormtroopers.
Okay.
Stormtroopers on Endor. So they're on Endor and they're fighting Ewoks and Rebel Alliance, and then they look up as the fucking Death Star explodes and they're like, well, shit.
Yeah.
And while I'm like, that's fascinating, and especially as, you know, we've seen from like the last mainstream Star Wars film, main story Star Wars film, we've seen that, you know, there are a lot of stormtroopers who aren't really down with everything the Empire are making them do. But this feels very much like, oh shit, well, we're just soldiers, Gov. We're not so bad. I mean, we do a job, and we've been told what to do by the Empire our whole lives, and
centrist.
Yeah, it's got real centrist vibes. Like, you didn't need to humanize general stormtroopers for me.
Oh, I forgot to mention how centrist Biomutant is in places.
I meant to prompt you on that earlier, and then I completely forgot.
I'm going to mention it here in what we've watched. Fuck it. The moral choice system that exists in Biomutant.
Trying to be a centrist or right wing?
Yeah. So the first narrative choice you have is, which of these two factions do you want to go team up with? Do you want to be with the very clear fascists who are just like, hey, we want to eradicate weakness in a cleansing. Like, they use the term cleansing for how they're going to destroy the weak. Or do you want to be on the other side, which, you know, you assume it's setting up, it's going to be like the sort of left-wing nice team. No, it's the painfully dull centrists who want unity under an iron fist, and they're going to force you to do things their way, and they're just painfully centrist. Do you want to be the fascists or the centrists? It's the choice that you get in voting at the moment. Do you want to vote for the fascists or for the centrists?
Centre-right.
The centrists that you really don't want to vote for, but I guess they're not as bad as the fascist, and we do need to keep the fascist out, so I guess them.
Yeah.
So yeah, have you watched anything else?
I watched. I've watched a couple of no-clip documentaries recently. The one I watched today was the Astroneer one. This is the one when you were like, "You okay?" I was like, "I'm crying. I watched a very sad documentary."
Yes.
So it's about like a bunch of people who had worked for various game studios, going, "I want to make a dream game."
Yeah.
And it's a little space person. And like just sort of like watching the game grow from almost nothing to like, here is our thing we put out. Content warning: somebody dies. They don't explain exactly what happens, but I get the impression either it was very, very sudden or it was a suicide. That's not specifically said. But like they talk quite nicely about what the company is like to work for. They have a policy. They have an unwritten policy of, if you don't feel like coming in, like you can't come into work, just don't come in. Just let someone know.
Yeah,
that's fine. Which seems like a really good thing, because having mental health days is important.
Yeah.
But it's about like the friends getting together and working on this thing and getting other people in, and then obviously like somebody's just like, you know, I'm done. I'm gonna leave. And somebody else is, obviously, they had a death, and then they had, like, new people trying to come in. and they finally got their 1.0 release, and it's like, shit, we've got so much to do. It seems like more stuff has been done, and they've done a lot since then, and obviously it's now up because I've played it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was something I'd sort of seen briefly before watching the documentary. I was like, I'm going to download that, and I had, but I hadn't got around to playing it. So yeah, it's another like beautifully in-depth no-clip video, sort of talking through about how that game was made and the people involved. I always like a good no-clip video because it's just good at doing that thing.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
The only other thing I've been watching is a Netflix show, Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj. So this is a person who is usually a stand-up comedian. Basically, very similar kind of show to something like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. It is a deep dives into ongoing newsworthy-ish topics, done with a bit of humour while also educating on a serious topic that more people need to learn about. It's that kind of a show. It's like, hey, today we're going to do half an hour about China's Me Too movement and how it is pushing back against Chinese internet censorship and making some real forward progress for women in China despite attempts to clamp down on it. That was a really interesting one. There was one about the fast fashion industry and how it functions. There was a really good one about what were some of the other ones I watched today? I've been watching a bunch of them. But yeah, really interesting deep dives communicated with a good sense of humour to be like, just enough humour to be like, don't get too depressed, we've got to learn, we've got stuff to learn still. Okay, we're going to end on maybe a little bit of a bummer, but here's what you can do to do something about that. Good show. Anyone who enjoys Last Week Tonight, I would recommend checking out Patriot Act. It is well done show. Lots of very good informative stuff in there. Have you watched anything else this week?
No, I think that's it.
Well then, time for this.
Laura, we've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, are you ready to get back into the office?
Not written. No.
Back into the office.
No. The outside world's a lot.
Do you have a loved one who's got to return to the outside world? Got to get back in.
Probably sooner than later, but that I don't want to think about it. It's scary. I'm not ready.
Well, there is one lovely company. They're the Society Reintegration Centre. And they are going to teach courses on small talk.
Oh, that thing where I have to say...
Other people. Yeah, pretend to be interested in their lives.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. People you don't know. Got to talk about...
Oh, no, I have to ask them what the weather's been like. Oh, no.
Well, yeah, is soup a thing? I think, do people talk about soup?
How's your sourdough going?
How was your sourdough, cat dog child?
How is your sourdough cat dog child?
Delete is applicable. Do you want advice on wearing clothes? What clothes are suitable for outside?
Oh no, can I not just wear the same pair of pyjamas 4 days in a row?
You can't just wear the same pair of pyjamas 4 days in a row. You can't match pyjama bottoms with the baggiest t-shirt in the world.
Oh no.
You will have to wear socks and or shoes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not ready for this.
Well, that's why they're here.
I've gone feral, I need help.
Okay, do you want to know how to smile awkwardly at strangers?
Oh god, they're going to be able to see the bottom half of my face.
Yeah, you're not just going to be able to pull faces.
I'm not going to be able to, silently mouth fuck off at people who are mean.
You're not going to be able to, lick your own nose if it happens to be running while you're walking around the supermarket.
Oh, no.
Yep. You're not going to be able to do any of the things that you could get away with hiding.
Oh no, I need help.
Well, that's where they're going to come in. That's where they're going to help you. Do you need to know how to deal with passing people in the shops, in the aisles?
Oh god, the whole...
They're going to be near you.
After you. Oh no, they're going to get rid of the...
They're going to be near you.
Oh no, I need help.
I know. Well, that's why the Society Reintegration Centre are here to help you.
Oh.
Head on over to src.lol.net and enter the code QNPS 160. I don't know, we've been off for 2 weeks, I can't remember what number, I'm guessing 1678.
1, 6, 7, 8.
Romeo. So that's src.lol.net, the Society Reintegration Centre, and enter the code QMPS 1678. And get 20% off your first week of courses on getting back into society. Those can be done virtually. Those can be done as an audiobook. Whatever you need, just to gently ease you in. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Active Softworks.
Hi. So, remember last summer? We had that whole, us being bad to our workers story that broke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how these stories keep getting out. I mean, nothing's changed, but,
Yeah. So the whole sexual whatever it was accusations we got against us.
that was us.
Yeah, people forgot about it, right?
I forgot about it. Why didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah, we've released video games, people reviewed the video games, liked the video games, they bought the video games.
Buy the video games.
So, here's the problem. Some newspaper reignited everything by reminding people that we haven't actually done anything about any of these accusations. Like, we said, we'll work on it, and we didn't do anything.
What about all the people that resigned? And we let them keep all their shares and stuff.
Apparently, that doesn't count. Apparently.
Sure, solemn JPEG, right?
Solemn JPEG. So, I've been trying to think, like, what can we do to diffuse this situation? Because there's people saying, you didn't change anything, you're still a bad company. Like, what can we do about this?
Sensitivity training.
I mean, that sounds like I would have to actually listen to, people talk about feelings. That's gross.
How about this? We make the interns go for sensitivity training.
Ooh.
So, like, a number of our staff, not on the board, obviously.
Yeah.
But, a number of our
Actually,
staff
what if
are
we-
having to deal with that.
What if we just send everyone that isn't the executives? Because then we can say the vast majority of our staff were put on sensitivity training.
Yeah.
We'll put a couple of little exceptions here and there.
Well, we'll just say that they were busy working that day, but we will get around to that, and then we'll just fudge the numbers next year and say that, it was different people that went on sensitivity training.
Well, I've got one other solution. I've got
Sure.
one idea of what might be easier.
Sure.
We just put out a press release that says, nah, we made it better. We fixed it.
How do you respond to the accusations that nothing has changed?
Yeah. It has changed. It has changed. How's it changed? Well, no, it's changed. It's changed though.
It's changed. Solemn JPEG.
I think we got a winner here.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
I put a few bits of music in my ears this week. Shall I rattle through them and
Rattle
one
through
go?
things.
I listened to Transparent Soul by Willow, featuring Travis Barker, the drummer we watched in the Sphere that went upside down
Oh,
at
yes.
the weekend. So this is Will Smith's kid, who previously musically I only knew for I Whip My Hair Back and Forth many years ago. Do you remember that not good song? I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth.
Somehow that escaped me.
No, it was not good. But this is good.
Yay!
It is a really, really...
This is Willow, right?
Yeah, Willow.
Yeah.
So really, really good melodic rock track. Feels very sort of like late 2000s melodic rock. But what I find interesting about the track is Willow's vocal line and vocal delivery is completely not what I would expect out of a rock track. It's a lot more
Punky.
There's punk moments, there's spoken word moments, and there's like almost opera, like much more not rock vocal in there. there's a lot of playing around in the space vocally that you don't usually get with those sort of power chord driven guitars. It is a great track. I can't stop listening to it. I've had it on loop. It is the most a song has gripped me in a while. I'm very into it. So Willow, Transparent Soul, go check it out. I fucking love that track. I also listened to You Didn't Ask for This by Trash Bag Ponchos. Sort of a folk punk track about wanting to make rough at the edges music when you don't really know how to, and the radical act of loving each other in the face of a world that doesn't seem to have noticed everything's gone to shit. Really sweet, lovely, positive track. And the last one I listened to was a track called Sweet Hibiscus Tea by Penelope Scott. A very sort of... It's a piano track with a very bouncy folk vocal line over it. About wanting to just... to try and fight not seeing yourself as important. It's delivered in a style that feels very much like it would fit at home in the third act of a musical. It's that kind of a track. Very fun track. It feels very one person in a room with a microphone pointed at them and the piano, like probably done in a take sort of energy to it. It's a good track though. What about you? What have you put in your ears this week?
I listened to you drumming.
You did.
You drum now.
I have drums again. I have electric drums, so I won't disturb the neighbours too much.
Yeah, drum.
Yeah, it's been God knows how many years since I last touched an actual drum kit. Probably like 7 years since I drummed properly.
Well, you did good diddly doos.
Yeah, we spent several hours getting the electric kit set up properly.
Yeah, it took a while to get it all built.
Yeah, but once it's set up, I know how it works now. It's all good. I mainly spent my first session practicing some of the fundamentals and trying to get my hands used to like doing the things that it hasn't done in a while.
While I sat on YouTube listening to like the greatest drum fills, the greatest drum bits, which is how we found the man in the spinny ball.
Yes, Travis Barker and his spinny drum ball.
Yes. That was a fun day. Listened to lots of drumming there. Yeah. I've started listening to the Magnus Archives from the beginning.
I did notice. How far in are you?
19 episodes. Listening to, like, there's a lot of sitting there listening to and going, that's that.
Yes.
That's that. Yep.
So 20 episodes in, I imagine you're at the point where it's starting to maybe hint at the larger meta-narrative and...
Martin's off sick. Martin's been off sick for a while.
Yeah.
Which I just glazed over the first couple of times I listened to this.
Yeah.
In fact, just like generally like acknowledging the assistance at all.
Yes.
Because they felt so throwaway the first time I listened to it. And then the second time I was like, oh, I know that person and I know that person and, ooh, is that person who they say they are? Ooh. And, but this third time I'm like, oh, it's Martin. Wow, you really fucking hate Martin, huh? Because he did not get on with him. I always like Martin. He's a fucking liability. Pretty much. Yeah, so there's been a lot of like obviously classifying the 14, and trying to work out like obviously some of those early stories were a bit more vague about where they were with the fears, and just like, oh, okay, that's like that. I'm guessing that's kind of about darkness or buried or whatever. So it's been interesting hearing that stuff and character names that I should mention and spotting things like Jane Prentice a lot earlier, and lots of talk about the not maggots, slightly longer worm things going around. Like those are sort of scattered through the first 19 episodes so
I kind of
far.
want to go back and re-listen.
I mean, that was the thing. I think we've talked about it a couple of times about like now we've listened to the whole series right to the end.
You know what I'm waiting for? I want to get a little bit into the new Adventure Zone series before I go back into Magnus, because that is one thing I've continued listening to their sort of prologue playing the Long Year.
Yeah.
I'm very much enjoying that setup and world building. I still think you definitely need to look at the maps they've provided while you listen. At least if you have aphantasia.
Hello.
Hello.
Apart from that, that's really all I've been listening to. I've been thinking about writing music more than I've been listening to music, really.
That's fair.
Because I've got 2 weeks off coming up soon from next week, so I'm hopefully going to sit down and write some more music.
Well, if
Because
you...
at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm going to write an album by December. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, if you make any music you'd like some drums for, I
would
can
like
help
some drums.
out. Yeah.
You can most welcome to come and drum for me.
Yeah.
Diddly do.
Diddly do.
Diddly 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 do. Boom boom. Yeah. Well then.
Time for this.
Well, you say you want to make things better for everyone, but playing devil's advocate, I don't really know. Does anyone really have a right to choose abortions? Does anyone really have a right to choose what you should be able to do with your body? I don't think you should be able to do that. I think maybe you need to consider society as part of that. Playing devil's advocate.
Sorry. Hello?
Hello, yes,
What are you doing?
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I have absolutely no skin in this game, but I just thought, it's important that people see both sides of the argument.
Take just a second to have a look at me. Do you know who I am?
Some kind of beta cuck, I imagine.
I'm the devil. The one who you're apparently advocating for. Hello. So let me put it simply, I don't need you to advocate for me. I really don't.
But I didn't. I just wanted to present the other side of things.
Hey, how about this? You present your opinion, and if that's a shitty asshole opinion, you own that and don't offload it on me, because I do not stand behind half the bullshit you say.
You're the devil. You must stand for the worst things.
Look, I might be the devil, but at least I'm not you. There's only so low I'll go.
You're not very nice, are you? Resorting to aggressive tactics, aren't you? You're just old ad hominem attacks on me.
Right, minions, throw them in the pit of advocacy.
No, get off me, No, not in my bottom. No, put the pointy thing in my bottom. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Glad to be back in the office. Carol? Oh, okay. Janice, have you seen Carol? She has been under there ever since she got back in the office. Under there, I swear she's wearing her pyjamas, and she's got all of the welcome back muffins. Fine. They're not all yours, Carol. Fine. They're for sharing. She tried to bite Luna when they asked her if she had the quarterly figures. I got too close. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. She's not ready for the office.
I can do the reports, I just need to do them down here where it's dark. My muffins. My quarterly reports.
Questions, Sam. Let's have questions.
What's the question?
Larry Ellingenby asks, you're a protagonist in a Kingdom Hearts game. How many belts do you wear and how spiky that hair?
All of the belts, and my hair is nothing but spikes. It's not even hair anymore, it's just metal cones. It is just spikes.
Heck, that's dangerous.
I'm more belt than person at this point.
Oh, heck. I've got like 3 around my waist, one sort of across my shoulders and down, like a bandolier. I've got like 3 on each leg, I think.
Yeah, you gotta have at least one as like a bracelet.
I've got one across my chest so my titties don't bounce too much when I run.
You see?
Because apparently that's a whole thing now, a titty band.
One of them across the head as if it's a Naruto headband.
Yep, one of them across my mouth, because it's a mask.
Ah.
And nose. Don't forget my nose.
Yes.
There's one across my mouth and nose, I should say. I don't want to be thought of a nose poker. And the hair, it is... I look like I've got my finger on a Van de Graaff generator. The hair is just... it's all, yeah, straight out. It's as straight as my hair has ever been. Michael asks, what is a toy of your youth, or a memory of a toy of your youth, that you fondly think of from time to time?
Oh, have you got an answer on hand for this?
I really want a rhino from Mask.
Yeah.
I keep looking at them on eBay and going, I'm gonna get one of those one day.
Are they overly expensive, or?
I think the last one I looked at was about £200 boxed, complete.
Oh.
And it's like, can't justify it. Don't want it that badly. Like, I would love it.
Yeah.
I would love it. I would probably play with it a decent amount. But also, like, got a lot of stuff already. Don't have...
Yes.
I dread us moving out of here.
Yeah.
We've got so much stuff.
It'll be fine.
We had a lot of stuff when we moved in. We've got a fuck ton now.
It'll be fine.
We're fine. Yeah, like I've run out of space to put Transformers, so I can't justify getting a huge ass fucking truck with a cool rocket out the side and like a big exploding thing on the front. And I just like the shape of Kenworth trucks, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like this beautiful crimson. And it's got all these cool features on it, like all of the Mask stuff.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Mine's not one that I would, want as a collector as an adult, but I remember very fondly thinking back. Was one of those plastic, like, car parks for little toy cars.
Oh, like was it Weebles or Fisher Price car parks?
Yeah, it might have been something like that. It's one of those where like you could turn a handle to make the lift in the car park go up and then go down the spiral down for the car park. Essentially one of those.
The Fisher Price car park, yeah.
I remember that very fondly.
I remember like other kids having it. Like I remember it very well. I remember loving Weebles.
Yes.
They wobble, but they don't fall down.
Yeah, I remember this. This was something that was at my dad's house. This was something at Dad's house.
Yeah, I do. Oh, okay. Big Yellow Teapot.
Oh, yes.
Big Yellow Teapot. One I saw at other kids' houses and was like, "This looks brilliant. I really want one." I bet they're phenomenally expensive now.
Yeah.
And the big tree.
Yeah.
With the pop up and there's other things in the tree. There's all the people in the tree and that I remember other kids having these things. Like
I am aware of them existing.
They looked great fun.
Yeah.
Of toys of my own that I remember having. I had the Fisher Price the wheelie telephone.
Oh yeah.
And it's got little eyes that go
yes
as it goes along.
Yes.
I remember having that. I remember playing with it a lot. No idea what happened to it. I guess at some point it either broke or got thrown away in one of my parents' rages.
Oh no.
All your toys go in the bin. Got too real. If given the option of putting wife, brain, soul into the body of any fictional character, who would it be? For clarity's sake, they have all they know. They just gain the body of a fictional person.
And who's this question from?
This is also from Michael.
I like you in your body. I
like
want
you in
you to
your
be in
body.
a fictional person's body.
What if my body was in a body with my brain was in a body with a slightly more successful heart?
Okay, yeah, okay. I will body swap you only because it gives you a slightly better chance of surviving.
Yay!
Who do you want to be?
Demetresk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can live with that.
I was looking at videos of how to make cosplay extendy fingers,
Yeah.
and I was like, I could cosplay Demetresk with like the one big hand. Caladry asks, what's one thing you wish your caretakers knew in advance for them to help you to recover from vaginoplasty?
This one's to my parents. Whatever the fuck you do, don't bring me a plate with my dead name on it when I am sad and tired a few days out of surgery. I was not emotionally prepared for that one.
I wish that, not necessarily my caretakers, but I wish my landlord knew that there was a leak in my shower and that it was nearly going to collapse through the ceiling 2 days after I got home from hospital and desperately still needed to use it. And luckily they were kind. They didn't we're going to have to rip out your whole bathroom and you're going to have to hobble across the floor while you're covered in lube 3 times a day to get to, the other bathroom in this building. They reinforced the floors and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Just to hold the building
Just
up.
to buy you some time.
To buy me, 3 months of time until they could repair that. And to be fair, I got a really nice bathroom afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really wish I'd known that was going to happen. With plenty of time before I went into hospital.
Just throw out the dead nameplates before I come stay with you. It's not a good emotionally prepared time.
Throw out the dead nameplates as soon as the dead name is no longer
I know,
appropriate.
indeed, but particularly don't go handing it to me when I'm hormonally wrung out.
Mm-hmm. Alferret asks, why is evil? Greed.
Yes.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Which is also
selfishness.
See also greed.
Yep.
Phoenix asks, if we could eat grass as good nutrition, do you think it would be everywhere as it is? Now, I reckon people would probably be packaging it and demanding loads of extra money for it. Or it would be fenced off somewhere. It would be we would have to make sure we were paying for it.
Yes. Instead of don't walk on the grass signs, you'd have no eating the grass signs.
They would specifically put pesticides on all the grass.
Oh, you're right.
Just so that we couldn't eat it. You'd have to buy special eating grass. It would be illegal to grow grass at home.
Yeah.
Or they the seeds that you can get to grow grass at home is the wrong kind of grass for eating. They'd capitalism grass.
They would capitalism grass.
Omega the Sane asks, same question but subtract 2 letters. So if you could eat ass as good nutrition, do you think it would be everywhere as it is?
I mean,
I think we would live in a fully socialist society.
Yeah, capitalism has yet to work out a way to take away our asses, and therefore, if we could nutritionally just eat ass, socialism would be here by now.
Eat ass, eat good. Good nutrition. Math Tiger asks, how do you define a sandwich? A filling between 2 slices of bread.
Yep, agreed.
Or a bun, or a bap,
yes.
Or a bum, or any of the other words used for a roll.
A glutinous bread-based something on either side of a filling.
Yeah, but not to be mistaken for a wrap.
2 separate pieces. I think it has to be 2 separate pieces.
Oh, you're going to have a hinge. Yeah. You're going to have a bread hinge.
Yeah, you can have a bread hinge. The internet has litigious this question into the ground.
They have.
It's a filling between 2 bits of bread-ish stuff.
I'm gonna go one more. I'm gonna get my spicy take in. A burger isn't a fucking sandwich.
Whatever you think is a sandwich is a sandwich. Enjoy.
Except a burger. Future Fishy asks, why is knitting so complicated? Because it involves dexterity.
Knitting is potentially complicated. You can do coding in knitting. You can do binary as knitting.
Ooh. Knit one, pearl one.
Indeed.
Or knit, pearl, knit, pearl, knit, pearl, pearl,
exactly.
Knit. They know the ways. And they ask, can I have a little encouragement as a treat? Yeah, of course you can.
You can do it.
Encourage. I believe in you.
You're going to be great.
I'm excited to see your restarted piece of knitting. Don't get too discouraged about having to restart, because knitting is hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you have, anything with motor function issues, or counting, or attention deficit.
Finding something hard is the first step to being great at it. You're going to be great.
Sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something. I think that's a Jake the Dog quote.
Yep.
Yeah. Tricky asks, why doesn't Captain Planet have a boat or a ship? Doesn't he fly everywhere?
That's what I would have assumed, and also, like, his whole thing was no pollution. Those four modes of transport cause pollution.
Exactly.
He wouldn't want a pollution causing
I suppose
vehicle.
if you could have like a push boat, or like a paddle boat.
Sure.
J. Jacob Marion asks, are you morning people or night owls?
we are night people.
We are night people. The mornings bring... No, don't get up. This is my leggy. I'm staying here forever.
Yeah.
No, we do snuggles now and maybe go back to sleep and...
Yes, we are reluctant morning people.
We snuggle in bed in the morning.
Yeah,
We don't get up.
yeah. So, hey, fun fact: ADHD often equals later circadian rhythm. You go to bed later, you wake up later.
This is why I'm very glad that my day job allows me to work 10 6s instead of 9 5s.
Exactly. It's why I'm glad I work from home and I'm self-employed. I'd have to be like up at 6 to get into the office by 9. That requires a commute. I know, right? I very much appreciate being able to just roll out of bed
Roll out.
and then work till like 1 a.m.
Right. Well, that's all the questions.
Well then, time for this.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors.
Yeah.
Alright, Larry. Alright, Barry.
How you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. Feels like I've not seen you in a while.
Oh yeah, it was busy last week, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen the discourse going around this week?
Well, yeah, we talked about the number of anti-trans articles, and we're
Well,
talking
there's
about
that, yeah.
whatever the fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene happens to be.
Yeah. I was specifically going on about I was thinking about the Pride-related stuff this year.
That's resurfaced again, hasn't it?
Yes, one of a few things have resurfaced. So first of all, we're having the bloody conversation about cops at Pride again.
No cops at Pride.
No cops at
Very
Pride.
simple.
Not even if they put out press releases going, we're very sad, some of us are gay cops, why can't we come?
You can take the fucking uniform
Look,
off
if you take
and
the-
don't act like a cop.
Exactly, come not as a cop, not dressed like a cop, not acting like a cop. None of us will fucking know you were a cop. You can be there as a gay person. Don't
Don't try and bring your cop identity to Pride.
Exactly. And just to all the people who are like, oh yeah, but who will protect you from, attacks if there's no cops?
Not the
You know,
fucking cops.
First of all, not the fucking cops. Can't fucking trust them to protect you. Second of all,
Look how they
look.
treated trans people last year.
Yeah, with
last
the-
year before
with
London Pride.
London Pride, letting the TERFs not only hijack the front of the march, but also
Threatening to arrest trans people.
who told the TERFs to fuck off.
Well, especially given the fact that those TERFs were, calling trans women rapists and paedophiles.
Exactly, but you say fuck off back to them, and no, I'm being attacked.
Yeah.
If we cannot avoid having them somewhere nearby, at least do what some Pride events do. Tell them that they stay several streets away and do not come unless called, and leave as soon as possible, and minimise their visibility and their presence.
They're not welcome.
They're not fucking welcome.
No.
But did you see the other bit of discourse going around the kink at Pride discourse?
Of course, no kink at Pride. Yeah, I'm guessing that this is another chan-up.
Yeah, this is this year's what they call it, Operation
Prideful,
Prideful. That's it. Where as soon as Pride Month comes around, you get 4chan shitbags who just
We've got another op going.
yeah. What are we going to suggest this year? Previous years, it's been the LGBT people want to put paedophile in the acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we've had
P is
that.
for pansexual. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we've had that before. Every year we get something, and this year it is it's kink at Pride, and there's a lot of miscommunication in this, because when people say kink, it's some people are conflating it as shitting on someone's chest on a parade float, whereas
Which
that
doesn't happen.
No, what we're talking about is
No one's gargling piss on a parade float.
no
They
someone
might be wearing leather.
Yeah, you might see someone wearing leather trousers and a leather harness, or you might even see a leather dog hood.
You might see some chaps. You might see a butt.
You might see a butt. But again, so much of the spread of this feels rooted in
sexuality is a bad thing when it's gay people. Because, you know, when we're talking about leather people at Pride, it is very rare for anyone to be dressed in a more risque manner than, say, a sexualized,
A thong bikini.
thong bikini, exactly. Like,
Oh, but it's a male coded person.
well, exactly. You can have, you know, attractive cis woman in a thong bikini at the beach as a sex object on TV. No one clutches their pearls and says, "Oh, what about the children?" But oh no, there's a man with, his bottom might be visible and he's wearing a leather top, but no, all you can see is chest underneath it.
That's not inherently sexual.
No, exactly.
Just, maybe the problem is that these bigots are turned on by it, but that doesn't in any way make it, that gay person or queer person's problem or identity.
Yeah. And also, like, a lot of the way this conversation has evolved is sort of like, Pride should be safe for all, and if anything makes anyone uncomfortable or is deemed inappropriate, then it shouldn't be there. Which, you go down a very dangerous road when you start saying that about Pride, because it is not going to stop at the gay men wearing leather, because as soon as you start getting into acceptable appearance, other groups are going to get caught with that.
They will use it as a wedge, like trans people are being used as a wedge politically.
Well,
they are going to use it as a wedge, and they will chisel away until there is nothing left.
You know how easy it is, because the TERFs are already, will already say trans people are dressed in kink. They are people in fetish gear. You are a man dressed up as a woman, that's a fetish thing.
Well, have you seen their new T-shirts?
Yes.
So yeah, that is inherently saying that, it is a kink and they're doing it in public.
But this is the thing, is as soon as you, like, that's where this road goes, is, oh, you can't have someone in a leather top at Pride because think of the children, or a pop hood. It very quickly becomes, no, that's someone in drag, that's a kink thing, therefore stop them.
No bigots at Pride.
No bigots at Pride. Hey, if you've ever actually fucking been to Pride, every year when the people in the leathers and the pop hooded people come by, you get the biggest fucking cheer for them. Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
They've
usually got the best music.
Exactly.
The kinksters aren't up to anything inherently sexual. You might be seeing a bit of skin, but don't sexualise them.
Yeah, the world is much more willing to jump to that is sexualisation when a queer person's involved.
Yeah, some people are very into uniforms, and so I would say that no cops at Pride.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly too kinky.
Yeah.
That's the only kink I don't believe should be allowed at Pride.
No cop kink at Pride.
Yeah.
Ambulance workers and fire brigade, fine. Cops, that's a kink too far.
Yeah, no cops, no military.
Yeah.
Virtual luck, mate.
Virtual luck.
Not long now, mate.
Counting the days down now.
Oh, it's going to be a big one.
I'm good by the end of June, I think.
I've got to wait till a little bit into August, but
yeah.
I'm ready.
Gosh, we're couple of months off now.
Oh yeah. Right, mate. I think I'm going to go for a lie down.
Yeah, same.
Nice. Sleep well.
Yeah.
So, Laura,
Me?
where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. You can find me Twitch streaming Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10pm UK, 5pm Eastern, 2pm Pacific. Every Friday, other than a week like this where there's an embargo happening, I upload episodes of Accessibility, which is about accessibility and representation in the games industry. This week's episode will have gone up a day early because House of Ashes embargo. Other than that, I've got books. Uncomfortable Labels, that's out now. It's about being autistic and trans. Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, that's out now. It's about video game character butts. Gender Euphoria comes out on June 10th. It's a bunch of non-cis people's real-life positive gender-affirming stories. By the time you hear this, backer copies might be shipping already, because people have been emailed asking, like, hey, last chance to check your address before we post it to you. So that's exciting. People are going to be able to read your words.
I wrote some words too.
Yeah, they're in there. They're good words.
I'm glad you like them. I
Yeah.
hope they like them too.
I think they will. I know they will. I also do podcasts. Pixel Squirts about video game character pornography. Podquisition, we tell you whether your favourite video games are great or perfect. And Dice Funk is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Every season's its own story, so jump in wherever. I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Also, I'm on a podcast with you that isn't this one.
With me, that'll
Yeah.
be Polyarmor. A new episode of that went up last week. You can listen to that. You've left Felixstowe. You're done with the cats now. Moving on to the age of steam.
Oh, yeah, I know where we're up to.
Yeah, you've gone to Lankingham. The city of Lankingham, the city of steam. There's interesting things with the robots, and I hope everyone is enjoying that that's listened to it already. I make music under the name Bedroom Programmer, and hopefully there will be all new music up there, because I'm very excited to get some quality time to just sit down in front of a computer and bang out some tunes. We've got a Facebook group, we've got a Redbubble, we've got a Discord. If you want a link to that, you can hit me up on Twitter and I will send you an invite, because we try and keep that locked down for everyone's safety. Yours and mine. I've got a Redbubble where I design t-shirts. I've got some designs that I've had bubbling away in my head that I would like to put up in the next couple of weeks, so watch out for those. StarMonkeyRadio.blog, where I write reviews for board games mostly. I've got a YouTube channel which is mostly VODs of my my Twitch, which is Thursdays at 7:30 UK time approximately. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Patreon. That's the one that pays my bills. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify a 76-hour work week. That's patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. All of my other links can be found at streamerlinks.com/Janiac. That's JANEIAC. Alright. Sing us out, please, darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.
I will.